Hello, everybody. I'm just tweeting out a little update, get everyone to come in and join us here. Um, Today's is going to be a little bit different because we've got a pretty big update coming out. We've been focusing a lot on in-game experience and gameplay and getting a lot of bugs fixed. So Luke is going to dive pretty deep into everything that we've been working on. Um, and then we will, of course, do the usual. You can come up, ask a question on the Twitter space, or we will be monitoring our Discord general chat. So just make sure you're tagging either me or one of our mods. I think DB is around. So just at DB or myself, and we will get to you.
Thanks for joining, guys. We're going to start in just a second. Lots to talk about today. We have a ton of different plans in the works too. So, we have a lot to update you guys on what we actually built over the last 2 weeks. This is our first sprint that we started working on. And then we've been developing a lot of the future plans and figuring out like a lot of the other things as well too, in terms of roadmap, in terms of what we're building next and what we're going to release to you guys. And then we have like a few things we're going to talk about too, like what we're figuring out still. Some like key issues we're solving, and we'll get to all of that. So super excited for this today. Thank you all for joining. A lot to talk about, a lot to go over, and a lot to get like feedback and questions on too. So really excited to get this kicked off this thing. Okay, and I guess with that, we'll just get started. So yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate y'all coming. If you guys aren't familiar with what we're building, we are Pixels.online. We're building a play-to-earn game that's built around the NFTs that you already own. We're doing a couple of interesting things. We've led the space in this concept of interoperability, where you can bring NFTs and other digital assets that you already own into our game and use them as your avatar. We're also kind of experimenting with other ways we can potentially be leading the space in interoperability. More on that coming soon. The second thing we've done is we've dropped an NFT, Farmland by Pixels. You can look it up on OpenSea. What this NFT does is it gives you access to a virtual space, a virtual plot of farmland where you can access our initial game mechanics. We're building an entire game ecosystem around this farmland. And that's kind of what we're working on right now. So the third thing that's interesting that we're doing is we're building a play-to-earn game. We're taking a backwards approach to how we're building it. We have this thesis in the space that in order to have success in the long term, in order to build something that's really long-standing and long-lasting, you need to build a good game first if you're trying to build a play-to-earn game. In this space, we see a lot of games that are coming out that honestly are no different than gambling or just DeFi with a fancy skin on it. And we think the real players in the space, the real opportunity here is to build a really engaging and fun game and then focus on the play to earn aspects afterwards. But that means there's a bunch of challenging stuff with that. Like number one, how do you build a game that still like works within the constraints of smart contracts? How do you build a game that is really balanced and once you have money on the line, how does it all flow together? How are these different systems work together? How can you maintain balance, and how can you be building for all the different people who want to be playing this game and all the different stakeholders? With NFTs, it's really interesting because you have like a bunch of different stakeholders in the ecosystem than you would have in a normal game, and the modeling and the like way we need to balance the game looks a lot different from a traditional game too. So these are kind of things we're working out, and why we want to start focusing on building and releasing features, getting feedback, and like looking at balance, seeing how this affects our metrics, and then focusing on the blockchain stuff after that. So right now, where we're at with all of that, if you're just joining this project or you're new to the project, is we've released some of our initial game features, and now we are shipping new game features every 2 weeks. We use a system called sprints. If you're familiar with like the software development world, this is super standard. But we're taking like a building in public approach too. So we're trying to give you guys like all this terminology, get you guys up to date on how we're going about doing all of this. And we're working this like 2 week set of blocks called sprints where we're shipping out features to all of you guys every 2 weeks. We get feedback on them. We measure how they're responding, how you guys are like changing your gameplay and how this has affected all of our balance. And then we're taking that into consideration and we're shipping out features every other 2 weeks too. So we're taking a very much building a public approach, and we just finished our first sprint this last week. We have many more coming up, but basically over the course of the next like 4 to 5 months, we'll continue to build in this way, releasing new chunks of features every 2 weeks. And then once we're at a place where we have what we consider a sustainable ecosystem, basically our game is somewhat balanced. We have players who are actively playing the game, getting a good amount of playtime in every single day in the right areas that we're looking for, that's where we're going to be dropping a token. And the goal is to have a token that's like ready to use um, and like a core part of this game. And this token will be pretty central to the farmland too. Um, Play to earn is really interesting because it's all about sinks and faucets, like how you introduce assets into a game and how you take them out. That's kind of part of how a currency in the play to earn space is valued or how it retains its worth. And farmland is going to be the main faucet into the game. That's how you're going to be getting a lot of the resources generated. That's kind of how we're thinking about farmland. So if you own farmland, you're in a really advantageous spot before we drop the token. That'll be the main sink into the game where resources are generated that are core to all the other gameplay elements, which we're designing right now. So that's where we're at with all of that. And there's a lot coming in terms of like what these actual mechanics will look like that use this farmland and all the resources associated with it too. Last interesting thing that we're doing is we're doing a play to airdrop. So we did a play to mint where if you wanted to mint our NFT, the top 2,000 point earners got access to this mint. We want to do a similar thing with the token drop too. There's a really interesting aligned incentive through making sure that the token gets into the hands of people who actually play our game, people who like what we're building, and people who kind of see the vision that we have. So we want to make sure that the token is in the right hands when we actually drop it. And that's why we're doing what we call a play to airdrop. We're still focusing or figuring out like what exactly that looks like. We'll have like a very transparent and like mathematical way to calculate this. The whole intention and the whole idea is number one, we want to reward people who are here early. That includes people who bought into this project early. And then two, we want to make sure that we're rewarding people who actually care about our game. So figuring out the balance between the two of those is kind of like what we want to make sure we get right. This is like very much tokenomics. It's something that we don't want to rush into that decision of. But it's something that we also want to communicate with you guys like as soon as we know. Just like we make the decision in like a different way than the optimal way, it might affect like the balance of the token. It might have like bad effects on the overall token health too, which is not what we want. What we want is for everybody to be winning in the situation as efficiently and as maximally as possible. So getting this like correct allocation, this correct number right, is kind of one of the things we're focusing on over the next 2 weeks to 3 weeks as we bring on more and more help as we get expert help in and like rely on the value add of our investors. So lots of stuff going on with that, lots of plans that we'll be telling you guys about. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about this sprint one. So we just wrapped up our first sprint. I think it actually might be more apt to call it sprint zero. So over the last month or so, we've been building out the team. We've made a ton of hires and we've been getting the team assembled. If you guys aren't familiar with this space, or if you guys are like kind of new to investing or any of that too, like if you're looking at a project, one of the biggest things you need to be looking at is the team. That actually is probably the single most important aspect of like if a project will make it or if a project will not. Looking at every single team member, seeing their experience, seeing how they work together. Is this team going to be able to execute on what they say they're going to be executing on? We spent so much of our focus over the last 2 months making sure we have a really good team set up. And I'm so proud of the team that we've built. It really is a top tier tech team. Every single engineer on the team is an ex-CTO. We have some awesome game designers. The energy just around this team is so insane. Super hardworking, so hard to the point where we just need to like stop people from burning out because they work so hard and it's just kind of crazy because it's not asked for. Just the energy around the project is just super high and the team is extremely talented and we're so excited to get stuff built out. So we've been building out team, and then this first sprint that we just did was all about addressing like a lot of the major bugs, concerns around polish and other areas like that. And we've fixed so much. It's crazy because when you normally onboard a team, it normally takes some time to like ramp up to get going. But this team is pretty much ramped up now. I used to be the sole developer of this game. I've basically completely offboarded from development because this engineering team is way better than me. And it's been super awesome to see. So we've released so many bug fixes. We've introduced a few new features. We have new NFT integrations. And we've been doing a ton of work on like game design, community, and operations too. So there's a ton of updates around all of that. And I guess it might just be fun for me to go through and just go one by one every single thing that we fixed, so you guys can just see like how much progress we made, even though it's like slightly invisible this last 2 weeks. And the next sprint won't be invisible. You're gonna see so many actual features coming out. But yeah, so here are the list of bug fixes that we've fixed over the last 2 weeks. So we fixed any soil plots that might end up in like the top left corner. We fixed that bug. Um, we fixed the info icon on farmland if you had like a 0% tax. You now get to see that. We've fixed you walking off of farms. We've fixed fast clicking. We've fixed the 0% tax if you are an owner and you like weren't receiving all of your fruit. We've fixed a lot of bugs around like clicking too fast on the farm. We fixed a few buttons on the edit profile modal. A lot of things around fast clicking. If you guys have clicked on the toolbar before and you notice that would like open up other things that were clicked on in the map, like you could click through some UI elements and it would open up other modals. We fixed that bug, so all the UI is fixed. We've made it so that you can't place soil plots in other farms. Should not be able to reduce soil plot quantity. Yeah, so if you were to try to place soil plots on other farms, it doesn't like have any bug around that anymore. We've limited usernames to 20 characters. You can only open up one user profile at once now. We fixed a lot of the dialogue that might have been confusing. Fixed a lot of like quest bugs. Fixed bugs in the store around like hitting the max amount of buy. So that like it behaves exactly as expected in the store. We fixed like bugs and exploits around the store as well too. And then some of the key bugs that we fixed are around the UX of farming, which are like the biggest bugs that we've had, the most annoying ones that you have seen. And like a lot of the bugs we fixed have been around the growth of your crops. So basically now farming should behave exactly how you expect it to. You shouldn't have to do any of this weird refreshing. You shouldn't have to wait for things to sprout. Basically, if you plant something and you water it and then you leave and come back to your farm, it should just work now. So yeah, we fixed things around the growth bugs. So we fixed the growth not being calculated immediately upon load. We fixed the growth like being calculated based on like inaccurate watering levels. We fixed like everything to do around watering. And then we also fixed bugs with like cracked soil that didn't let you like plant anything on it. We've also fixed like weird UI things around other parts of our map builder. So yeah, probably even more bugs beyond that we fixed. A lot there. We've also added a ton of new features that just improve the UX and improve like your end experience a lot more. Number one, we added golden rake utility finally. So that's super exciting. All of you who own a golden rake, now if you use it, there's a 10% chance to double your crop and seed harvest. So big advantage there. That's a fun one. We've added, so one thing that we've done and worked around too is we've added warning flags for sensitive content. We released to you guys a map builder. It did not take long for people to start making interesting art that maybe is not family friendly, if you know what I mean. So that's been the whole conversation we've had over like how do we manage content moderation on chain when we're dealing with assets like this. We don't want to be the authority of this, but there is this interesting thing that we need to think about how we do on-chain content moderation. If we want to still appeal to a mass market, if we want to like make a game that like teenagers or like other people can play, or like it's generally like more family friendly and it's in terms of content. So what we've decided is we've just like if a user flags content as potentially not suitable for work, there's now like a warning on the farm before you enter it. So it's like blurred out at first. You have to like accept and consent to enter this farm. We've found that's probably the best way to do it. Eventually, we'll think about other on-chain ways to moderate content. But yeah, we're working on policies around that. It's quite tricky, on-chain content moderation. I don't think anybody's quite figured that out. That is, if you're a founder in Web3 and you're trying to figure out problems to solve, that's a good one. We made it so that if you don't have a browser that's supported, we like ask you to go to Chrome. We have added new features around the chat box to make it not block the whole screen and to make it so that it's just a bit easier to use. Now people actually might use the chat. We've changed the tax in the public land to 10%. We've added invisible walls. We've added a respawn button and spawn points. We've added farming animations. So now if you farm, you will like get a lot prettier animations. It's just like a much more pleasant experience now. So yeah, if you guys haven't farmed today yet, check it out. Those farming animations are really nice. Yvonne had those ready for a while, and I'm really excited to get those in. We've added a new area, a store. So Hazel is no longer standing outside the store. You can actually go inside of the store and buy your crops there. We made it more obvious that we use WASD. And we also added a new item, an energy drink, which will replenish your energy. There's a lot more content coming around that in terms of like what we're releasing for all of that. But that's super exciting. And then a few other things we've been doing on the back end is we have been doing a lot of work around community management. We created a new system for handling support tickets. We cleaned up a lot of the Discord. The Discord's much prettier if you haven't seen that yet. We improved like a lot of our strategies for building in public. That's even like coming out further. So if you've seen, we've introduced a few new channels into our Discord. One of the channels is Build With Us, I think. Is that what it's called? Um,
It's behind
Behind
the
the
scenes.
scenes. Yeah, it's called Behind the Scenes. So our developers are actually going to try to do this new thing where we actually update you guys on like the tech that we're building. They show you guys some of the features that we're doing, and you get like a bit more of a transparent look into how we're actually building everything. So that's pretty cool. We're pretty excited about that. Um, and then yeah, we're launching a new Pixels YouTube channel. AMAs like that will go on there, and we've been interviewing a ton of people as well to get feedback on how we're doing this, what you guys think, the sentiment of the community. We're taking all of your thoughts and considerations into like directly into the processes that we're setting up right now. So very excited about that. In terms of game design, there's so much going on with that we're going to talk about soon. A bit more on the back end first about operations. The whole team has been getting like really organized. We have a new project management system that Tyler's implemented. Completed our first sprint. We've been road mapping a lot better. We're developing like a much more strict quality assurance process around like how we release features. We're developing like versioning and releasing around how we build too, so that there's like a bit more consistency in how we actually get features out. That's coming on to you more. And then we're also working on moving Canny to working on like integrating our Canny, our public facing like feature request system right now, to like be more visible into our project management. So we have all of our road mapping in internal tools. We use Jira. That's typically how you like develop software. And we're going to try to work on making that more visible to external use now that we have that mapped internally. So in terms of game design too, there's a lot coming on with that. So I think I talked and touched and gave a little bit of alpha on what we were working on last week. That's solidifying a bit more. So let me pull up our board right now because I think that might help me a bit more. I will go through our roadmap with you guys on what exactly we're working on in this next sprint, because there's been a ton of game design work that's happened over the last 2 weeks, and we just have like a lot more figured out. So we just did our first sprint. Sprint one was completed. The next things that we're working on in this sprint are a redo of the quest system, a farming leveling system. We're adding multiplayer farm building support, and then we're redesigning the store, and we're also designing a cooking mechanic. So all of that is set up for this sprint. So basically like 3 huge features, whole new quest system, whole new store, and a whole new mechanic centered around cooking. This is all kind of tied to this really big push that we're going to be making soon to start building out features and attracting a new audience. We want to attract a new audience that is centered around people who don't own land, to kind of bring more balance to the game. One of the key things about this game, in order to make land as valuable as possible, or like a key resource to this game, is we need more people to come onto your land. We need more reasons for people to be farming, and we need like more gameplay centered around that. So with all that being said, that means we're going to have a really big growth push in the next like 2 months. That's coming soon, where we're going to be pushing to attract people who don't own land into this ecosystem. And that means that we need a few things a bit more polished and a bit more clean before we can get to that. The first being like your general onboarding experience into this game is going to be extremely important if we're trying to attract people who are maybe a bit more casual gamers or who don't own this land. That means a whole revamp of like what logging in looks like, making sure that's as easy as possible, and then just kind of reimagining like what your first 5 to 10 minutes look like when you hop into this game. You guys have been super patient with that whole process. When you hopped into this game, into Terra Villa for the first time, you guys came into our Discord. You started asking questions. Like a lot of you even made guides to like navigate this whole world. And there's YouTube guides. There's like a whole bunch of like list of like this is a step you need to take to do this and this and this and this to like navigate through this game. That actually wasn't like super acceptable, we feel like. And what we really think is super important moving forward is making sure this whole onboarding experience, your first 15 minutes in Pixels, is extremely intuitive. It's really easy and fun to be in. You like maybe learn something about the gameplay and we get you hooked in through that way. The more seamless we make this experience and the more users we get onto this platform through ways like that, the more successful this whole project will be and the whole ecosystem will be, including your farmland. So that's kind of how we're thinking about this. So with that being said, that means one, we're reimagining like what this actual login process looks like, making it so that we're trying to figure out if we can make it even smoother, like even a bit easier. And then two, your like first 5 minutes, like that really revolves around quests. So we're redesigning some of our questing system to make it a lot more intuitive, to make sure that nobody ever comes into our game is like, I had no idea what to do. Because we get that a lot. We're like, people come into the game and they're like, yeah, I like walked around for a few minutes, but I didn't really know what to do, so I left. That's so much potential there that we're wasting if that's the initial experience there. So that's something that we're focused on building out and figuring out. And that's kind of the focus of this sprint. So that's all coming this sprint, that reimagined quest system, thinking about like what the first little like foray into this game looks like. And then we're also adding in all these other features too. So we're adding in a leveling system. It'll be a lot more apparent to you guys on like the progress that you're making. And we're going to be using levels to access other items and add more content soon, add a bit like more of an end game for all of you guys who are out there farming right now or having people using your farms. And then we're focusing on bringing more functionality to the store too. So the store is why you guys want all of these resources, and it's kind of going to be the key part of this game. It's funny because when I pitch this game to people or when we were talking to investors, and this is really how this works for you guys too, is what we're developing here is honestly more of a game economy than a game. And that's actually crucial to make this game work. If we think about the economics as much as we think about the game and how we can make all this work, it's kind of the intersection of both of those things. And through that, and the reason I'm saying that is because the store is so, so important to all of the game, where we want to start to bring more of an emphasis onto this. Like give you guys more reasons for like why you're farming pop berries in the first place, give like more compelling use to your land, and give more reasons for you guys to be out there doing this. So that's kind of the intention behind that. So much stuff in the works. Super excited about all of that. And then, yeah, a lot of the game design has been getting more and more sorted and more figured out. So super, super excited for all that we're about to ship. This next sprint's going to be crazy. The ones after that are going to be even crazier. So that's all about the release notes, the sprint notes. Let me see if I had anything else to go over, and I might give the mic to somebody else really quick, and then we'll take on some questions. So yeah, with that, the team is moving pretty quickly. We're still looking for a few more positions too. So we have the core team pretty much built out now. There's still a few other pieces of talent that we're looking for. We're still looking for smart contract developers. If you guys know anybody, that's actually something I will offer like a pretty big referral to. If anybody refers us a smart contract developer, we're looking at like a 2 to 3 ETH bounty on that. So let us know. That's extremely hard to fill, and it's not really even a budget thing. But the level of talent that we're looking for is quite high. So if you guys know any smart contract developers, please post a contact. That'll be like a 2 to 3 ETH bounty for you if you refer us to somebody that we hire. So let us know. We're looking for a UI UX designer. That's a huge, crucial part of this moving forward. If you know any UI UX designer, please let us know. There will be a referral bonus there. We're also looking to rebrand, or not really rebrand, but like do a brand evolution. Basically, we're focused on, again, increasing that first user experience. So that means things like updating our website, updating our brand, making sure that's a bit smoother, a bit more clear, and it just looks a bit nicer, and is a bit more friendly to new users. And then we're still looking for a few more full stack developers. So if you guys know any full stack developers too, um, send me a message on Discord or send me a DM. We're offering referral bonuses for all of this. So please let us know, and stay in touch around that. We're trying to build the best team in Web3. I honestly think we have it. The level of talent in this team is ridiculously high. It's been super exciting, super fun to work with. So yeah, if you know any talented, smart people, let us know. And yeah, if you guys, Heidi, Tyler, either of you, if you think I missed anything or if you have anything else you want to touch on, let me know. And feel free to come up and speak.
I can speak to integrations a little bit more, just like probably reading through the list. We've got so many coming. So really exciting stuff. Where did the list even go? It just disappeared on me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, right? We have like
it's
30 in the pipeline.
crazy. Yeah, something like that, like Foxy Fam, Humanoids, Galactic Gang, Eggheads Club, Pixel Cat Club, Global Bears Club, uh, Scholars, Crypto Duckies, Pixelmon, Grills Gang. Gosh, I can't even say half of these. Larva Lads, Metamoose. I mean, the list goes on. Glizzy Gang.
Yeah,
Um,
and those are all coming
it's
like
amazing. It's
soon,
really
right?
amazing.
So when we say in the pipeline, Heidi, what's that mean?
Yeah, so basically, the initial step we have is, and you might have seen me talk about this like on Twitter and on in the Discord, is we have the collection managers fill out a form, and then we have to vet who is applying because we want to make sure that they're a real collection, of course, and then we get in contact with them, and then the pipeline is started basically there. We start
So
talking,
when,
having
yeah,
conversations with them about having artwork created, the animations in game developed, and then it moves through the process of having the artwork created and then going through a QA and then development process, and then we can launch. And although that seems quick, it actually takes several weeks. So yeah,
so
they're
how many
all
do you
at
think we're
various
gonna
points of time.
launch in April, if you could estimate? No worries if you
Oh,
don't know the exact number.
um I want to say if we push it and we make it work, we could probably do like 25 to 30, which is
Yeah,
like
that's
one a
crazy.
day, which is wild. um yeah, I think that's the goal. We'll see. We'll
Yeah, so
see.
we're sitting on that right now, and it's still interesting because we've done basically no marketing on our end. NFT integrations have been like our biggest growth mechanism. They're really helpful to us because they get people actually playing our game, and that's the most important thing to us, through the controlled growth. So sitting on 25 of those integrations will be pretty big for us moving forward. And then we still have all of the other like traditional like growth hacks that we can be doing that like most NFT collections do, that we're just sitting on and waiting to pull. Mostly for this big push that we're doing around like more, what do I call it? Like more mass market, or more like mass appeal gameplay mechanics that we're building out right now. So questing, cooking, and other mechanics that we're building out too. There's potentially other mechanics in the work too. I don't want to talk about too much, but we're actually, oh, maybe I do want to talk about it because this is pretty fun. So um, our game design team is kind of building out like a web of all these interconnected systems. Um, as we're building out this web, what I'm talking about is like, okay, how do these like items flow from here to here to here? How does this like mechanic interact with this one and this one and this one? Number one, as we're building that, we're like focusing on having farmland be central to that. Farmland being like the biggest sink into the game, the biggest like source of items coming into our economy. And then two, we're figuring out like what are the directions that we can make um, that flow towards. So cooking is an interesting one where we can take resources from farmland and have something to do with them. But then what do you do with the resources in cooking? and like why would you ever want to cook something? Like what's this or what's this like sink there? And one of the mechanics I've been thinking about is like something around pets or potentially around like a breeding mechanic. We're working with this really interesting company and this really interesting use case where I can't give too many more details about this now because it's like in progress and a bit hush hush. But if we pull this off, it'll actually be insane what we're like looking into doing. Basically pushing interoperability to like an even extra level. Um, so that's pretty fun. But yeah, that's kind of how we're thinking about things too. So we're building out this cooking mechanic. Just think about like what can we actually have this like food creative from farmland be used for, and like the mechanic that kind of uses that. And that's going to be that mechanic that we're thinking about, whether it be pets or whether it be combat. We're going to keep it like a bit hush until we have it a bit more designed. But we're thinking about it in that sense as going to be the mechanic that we push towards like mass users. So basically thinking about it from having farmland be like the main source of resources. How can we funnel these resources into other mechanics that people care about? And potentially really, really interesting stuff coming around that. So more info on that coming soon. Hopefully we're doing like some initial testing to see if this idea that we had is going to work or not.
Awesome. Okay, Tyler, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I like coming on to these. I had fun last week, so I thought I'd pop back in. So yeah, like Luke was mentioning, he went through the long list of bug fixes and features, and I kind of want to highlight. I read a lot in the Discord about speed, and we want to build in public, and I just want to like give kudos to our internal team. We literally just came together as a team to move and push out this amount in one sprint to when we are just getting to know each other and just getting to work with each other is such a good sign for all of you, but also for us. And like, we are really getting to know each other and working together. And the speed and the velocity of how we move, we are thinking short term and long term. So we're balancing. We hear you. We are reading all the feature requests, and we're balancing bug fixes and long term scalability of the site with releasing things that are fun in the short term. So it's extremely hard to do at the same time, but we're doing it. We're figuring it out. So keep looking at that behind the scenes channel. We're going to keep showing you. I've always found it as a non-engineer. I always find it like super, super cool to see and hear from them directly of what they're building. So that's going to keep coming. And then, yeah, aside from that, just give us a little patience here on getting these little structural things in order, because everything we're doing here in even how we're designing our UX is that we're able to drop and release features and utility way faster than we have. So it's coming, and you're going to see behind the scenes now. So we're saying it and we're going to prove it because we're going to show you. So that's it for me. Thank you all for listening. Back over to you.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks for coming up. Always love to have team members up, of course. Okay, are we ready for some questions? I have a few ready here already. Okay, still plans to have farming energy free on your own land?
Yeah, so we're working on like all this balance still a bit and figuring that out. So one of the missing pieces of this game design team right now is still around game balance, and we're actively hiring for that. So if you know anybody who has like specialties in like figuring this out, it's actually quite a tricky position to hire for. But that's like one of the like last little areas that we need to hire for, basically in terms of like our game design team. So that's something I'm like hesitant to like promise anything on. But that is one of those like features that we need to figure out too. The key thing there is making sure that like your land has like sufficient value. And I think the main concern there that you're trying to dig into is like making sure that it's worth holding this land. Like, why should I own land? Like, what's my advantage to it? And like, why would I want to hold this land? And like, what's this do for me versus somebody who doesn't own land? I think that's kind of the question that people are digging into. And that's like what we're trying to solve via game mechanics, and like via bringing in people who don't own land. So the ideal situation is this tax system is the way that we can like give that benefit, where if like there's enough players supporting this, potentially it's like a way to like rent out your land or to get like use out of it that way. and get crops without you even having to farm. But in the meantime, or if that's actually not working in the way that we suspect, there are other ways that we can balance it through things like this energy solution and things like less energy used when farming on your own farm. So we're working on that. We're figuring out like what the right balance of that's going to be. Our ideal situation is to figure this out through like a higher level mechanic, solving the problem in like the long term way. But in the short term, that might be the best way to do it. So we're working with the game design team to figure that out and see what that looks like. But just know that that's like a problem that we definitely see. We're actively looking to address it, and we're also looking into other ways to like provide incentive to be here right now as well too. So that's one of the core issues I've been thinking about. Like how can we make sure that all of you guys who have been here, who have believed in this game early on, and who are like supporting this endeavor, just mentally or through like being here and playing the game, like we want to make sure this is worth your time, and that's why we're so bullish on play to earn, because that's how this should work. So we're working on that. And like that's kind of one of my jobs over the next 2 weeks too, and why I've been meeting with investors who like have invested in us to get advice on this kind of stuff. This is like pretty high level like strategy, where the value out of having somebody who's done this with like 20 other projects is pretty immense. So we're working on figuring out that kind of system, and figuring out ways that we can reward you guys for that in the meantime. One of the ways too that we can kind of help that feeling, or like maybe like quell those concerns, is through like a more transparent plan on our play to airdrop. That's also in the works and what we're thinking about as well too, and trying to figure that out as soon as possible. The team's been so busy around making sure that we like get all of our game stuff ready, making sure that we're shipping and building. Now like my energy personally can shift more towards that again, figuring out these key problems for us, and moving that forward while the team starts to like execute on building, getting out like awesome game features and getting that all ready for you guys too. So there's tons of moving pieces, but we're really putting time and effort into all this, I promise.
Okay, and it looks like we have someone ready to come up. So Lord, oh wait, hold on. George, he figured it out, I think. So one of our game designers is going to come up and chat for a second. We've just been trying to figure out the logistics of that. Okay, in the meantime, Lord Cat of Pixel Cat Club, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks very much, Heidi, and hi, Luke, and everybody on your team. Just wanted to speak to you all and pick up on what Heidi said in relation to integration, and to say thank you very much to the team, Heidi, and everybody else who supported us in the process of the integration. And what Heidi said earlier on is absolutely true in terms of what needs to be done and the backwards and forwards. And I was so excited yesterday when you asked about what tweet did you want to put out in Twitter over, a sneak peek, and you put Pixel Cat Club up. And
well, you guys are very active. I got a lot of requests, so had to do it.
I know, but it was so exciting. You can't believe how giddy we all got last night amongst the team. Okay,
I love that.
And the rest of the community that we have is so excited. And on a personal level, I can't wait to see my green cat move in the game, because I've not seen it move yet. But I know.
Well, you know what? Send you your NFT, and I'll make a little mock-up.
Okay, thank you. But we're super excited and really pleased to be on board with you, and we can't wait to get our community into our lands and into the public lands as well. So thank you again.
Sweet.
Amazing.
Yeah, glad to hear that. I mean, that's the awesome thing about these integrations. It's like a great win-win. Like you guys get all this utility, like the excitement out of seeing this NFT walk around for the first time. And then, we get like really excited people about our game too. So that's why we love doing this. That's why we love working with collections to do this. It's just a win-win for everybody. And then it's a win for the people who don't own either of these NFTs too. It's just a win for like the community at large, because now we have even more people who are excited about this game, and the people who are already playing it get all of this new excitement too. So super, super excited to get sounds like 25 of these out. over the next like month. That's insane. I think that basically doubles our integrations, and hopefully we'll continue to work at that pace as well. Heidi and Tyler have been working on like completely revamping that integration system, so it's just going to move a lot quicker. And yeah, expect a similar pace for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and huge shout out to Rag Poet for managing the process, and our new developer on it, Alec. Both of them are doing an incredible job on all of it. So huge shout out to them.
Yeah, Rag Poet's
Okay,
been
let's
absolutely
hop back
crushing it.
to
Yeah,
let's hop
thanks,
back to
guys.
some questions here. Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you for coming up. My gosh, I'm kind of all over the place today. I think it's just one of those days. All right. Okay, next question. Would love to hear Luke talk about direction that the brand is going, like OpenSea banner, website, homepage, because it's, as it stands, it doesn't align with the game.
Yeah, who said that? It sounds like
Someone
it
in
came
the
directly
Google
from
chat.
you. No, that's funny.
No, it's not coming from me.
Yeah, no, we have talks about this all the time. We're actually working with a couple of branding agencies right now. We completely agree. We're working on like making this brand a lot more professional. It's actually funny. Back in August, when we were still doing virtual spaces and virtual events for companies. If you want to know a bit of the history, we were like a different company before and we pivoted into Web3. That's why we just have experience and track record of like building product, and why we like were able to pivot and move so quickly into this space. But yeah, I was like looking at different directions we could move into before we had fully decided on moving into Web3. I basically spent like a month making like probably 30 landing pages, 30 different brands. This was just one of them that like I put together really quickly. I made this logo in like 5 minutes. And this was not the one I thought was going to become an entire brand and what it was today. So yeah, I made this logo. I am not a graphic designer. This should not be the logo anymore. So
I
we're
like
working on
it.
that.
It's cute.
Thanks. I appreciate that support. But yeah, we're working on refreshing the brand. So we're talking with like a bunch of prominent Web3 agencies. We think it's probably worth the investment to like do this well. And we're currently in the process of all of that right now. So things like just making the brand more consistent to like what the game actually looks like, making sure that we have like brand guidelines set up, basically like doing the whole thing and making sure that we do it right. So that's coming, and that's actually like already in the works. So great question. I literally
Yeah.
thought that was Heidi that posted that question,
No,
because
it
that's
wasn't.
like
It wasn't
we've been
me.
talking about it so much lately.
Yes,
like,
we have. No, it was Chase, maybe how you pronounce it. There's like a V instead of an A, but
nice.
it was him. He's very active, so maybe just great minds think alike. All right. Is there going to be a point limit that you have to hit to get the airdrop, and if so, how high are you guys thinking?
Yeah, that's all in the works. This is something that's going to require like a good amount of thought moving forward, and what we want to make sure that we get really right. Part of the reason why we're like taking our time to drop a token is to make sure that we get all of these things right. Because it's funny, the allocation, in my opinion, really, really matters early on to the success of the token. Making sure that the token is in the hands of the right people who aren't just there to flip it, who are there to like actually use it in game, and who are there to actually like be a part of this ecosystem is super, super important to the health of it. So making sure we make these decisions around allocation is super important too. And that's also including like how we airdrop to the team. That's like if we airdrop to investors, what that looks like, things like that too. That's all going to be pretty transparent and things that we need to be thinking about. But also something that we want to like be completely open and like show you guys what this is going to look like too. Worst thing we could have is people coming in like flipping it the day of, or just not getting it in the right hands. We don't want this to be super speculative. We want this to be like very utility driven, and we think that will be the best long-term outcome for everybody if it's thought of that way.
Okay. Someone just made a comment, but I thought it was worth addressing. We'd love a Pixels launcher instead of browser game.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about like MetaMask and Web3 login is actually way easier technically for us to do it in browser right now, just due to all the infrastructure made by a lot of these Web3 companies. But it is interesting because we actually have experimented with a launcher before. Like we just wrapped our app in Electron, so it's not like the most efficient thing, but we can make that work, and it is a bit better performance wise because Electron, though it's like quite like resource hungry, it does allocate like a bit more RAM specifically for the project and things like that. So that's something that we can potentially do pretty soon. I have like a prototype of that working already. We could get the tech team on it. Just figuring out like when the right time to do that is, and also one of the things that we really need to focus on here too, and like part of the bigger picture is making sure that we have like a high level like game mechanics, game balance, and all of those things sorted before we start to optimize for other areas like that. So there's still a lot of like question around, well, not question, but like there's things we need to prove in terms of like, are these mechanics that we're building the right ones? Is this approach that we're taking the right one? We really have like some strong conviction in it, but before we start like building out those other things, there's a lot of things we can be testing in the meantime in terms of, and like proving out in the meantime, things like playtime per users in the browser. And then if we're seeing good metrics in that, things like launching or creating a launcher can potentially increase metrics and stickiness in other areas. So that's the next set of steps we'll be taking basically. So first, like focus on high level, like acquire users with these features. And then second step is like optimize all these features for retention, optimize all these features for like conversions at each part of the pipeline. That's kind of how we're thinking about it.
So someone mentioned it'd be fun to do like a logo contest. And as much as I love that idea and think it would be so much fun, I think we really need to get some of the, like a holistic, studio to like I don't know how to describe this. We just want like everything to be very cohesive, and I think maybe doing that wouldn't bring that in, but it would be so much fun. So maybe we can think of something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
branding is interesting because it's more than just the logo. It's like, how does your company
exactly.
present itself? What's its values? It's
Yeah.
like, so it's a lot more than just a logo.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got Golden Rake Utility, which is awesome. But apparently back in the day, you did mention one-click utility for farming, which is interesting. And I think, I don't know, we can chat about it more. For now, all we can promise is the 10% yield advantage. But we'll chat. We'll see. Okay. Just looking through these questions here.
Any way to show daily?
Oh, you're ahead of
I see
it.
that
Go.
question. Any way to show daily statistics to the community as far as daily playtime, daily users, etc. Yeah, that's interesting. Making that community focused. It's interesting to how much info that we should give and deliver. There is building public has a lot of advantages too. Then there's also interesting things around like competition, which, yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things where it's like some people consider that very sensitive data. I actually don't. And I actually think it's probably better to be open and forward with it. But that is probably something I need to like talk about with the team and figure out if that's something we want to make public facing. We have nothing to hide. And I think it's probably better to the strength of the project if we do make that public facing. So honestly, my leaning after like considering that is like, yeah, we probably should make that publicly facing. What are like playtime per users, or at least daily active users for each segment, or at least like overall in general. Yeah, transparency is the best at the end of the day. And if it's going down, I think you guys deserve to know. Also, like our whole focus around here, and like we care about, all I'll say is we care about daily active users more than any other metric right now. We think that focusing on daily active users and playtime will lead to all the other things that we get questions about when it comes to things like market cap, when it comes to things like that. We don't try to see it through that lens. We try to look at everything that we're doing in terms of like, how will this increase daily active users and how will this increase playtime? To us, that's the biggest metric of success. And honestly, I think you're right. Making that more public will show you guys a better idea of like the success of this project too. So I think we should look into that. I think it's a great idea.
Awesome. Okay. And Owen Williams is requesting to speak. How's it going?
Good.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. What are NFTs?
What are NFTs?
Yeah.
Luke, do you want to answer?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, yeah, what are NFTs and why do they matter? And what's the point of making all of this an NFT? Like, why do I care about NFT gaming? And like, what's the point of this all being here? So NFTs are this really, really interesting way to prove that you have ownership of something that you didn't have before, and it adds a lot of new elements to gaming that didn't exist before too. Right now in gaming, if you own anything or if you like put time into a game, you don't actually own it. For example, if you bought like a Fortnite skin, yeah, you can use that skin for a little bit. But what if Fortnite shuts down, or what if they just decide, oh, we don't really like that skin, we need to change how it looks, or what if they decide that like Fortnite Season 3 is going to reset all the skins, or what if you just put all this time into the skin and you're like, wow, like I've been putting a good amount of effort into this. I really feel like this should be mine. Like I've just put so much time and effort into playing this game where like yeah, this is like something that I've like really care about, and you don't actually own it if it's not an NFT. So NFTs provide this really new, unique element to gaming where you get ownership of the time and energy that you put into something. You get to trade it if you want to trade it, and it gets to be really yours. So it could be your skin in not just Fortnite, but maybe Roblox or maybe another game too.
Does that answer everything?
Yes. Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
You too.
You
Have a
too.
good
Thanks
day.
for coming up. Okay. Next speaker. Oh my gosh, what NFT is that? I love it.
Is that an NFT? No, that's from Chowder, right? That TV show.
Oh, I don't know.
Am I right on that? I don't know.
I love it though. All right, we're just still connecting here.
I have not seen that show in 10 years.
Okay. In the meantime, is the character going invisible getting fixed in the next sprint? It is fixed in this sprint. So that should be in already. Okay. Any other questions, please pop them in the Discord general chat and tag Heidi or myself so I can see them. But I think we're almost done here. Oh, we've got another requested.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Hey, do you hear me?
Yeah, how's it going?
Going well. Unfortunately, I joined the AMA a little bit late, so I was wondering if you guys covered the golden break utility, or if there's any like documentation out there I could read.
Yeah, we just released utility for that today. In this release, basically it gives you a 10% chance of double the harvest of crops and seeds right now.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, more coming on like all of that stuff too. Is that documented anywhere? We're kind of like revamping our document system.
So we're gonna have release notes that'll have everything in it, and then I'll probably post like a recap on Twitter as well. But we're definitely improving our like clarity on releasing, different updates and all of that. So, and you can thank Tyler for that because he is killing it.
Yeah, I've noticed. But yeah, that's the only question I had.
I think that was a great question. So there's a couple of things we're going to try to do here. Is the public wiki that we've had a little bit of old data in there, so I'm cleaning that up right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the point about finding utility and finding access to information, a big push for us is to bring that in game. So with this little new store that we're going to build, you're going to be able to, as we build items, there will be a field in the database where we talk about utility, we give description. So it's been a little bit of we're pulling you away from the game to give you information. So we're working a little bit to bring the information that you seek to the source. So
that would be great.
It's coming.
One-stop shop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And very impressed with all the progress.
Awesome. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Okay. We've got Michael. Maybe he just dropped off. Okay, we've got some questions on the Discord in the meantime. So why haven't we been verified on OpenSea?
Yeah, OpenSea is a bit slow on that. I'm gonna try to set up a meeting with their team pretty soon and talk to them. We have a few other things we need to talk to them about too. So that's coming.
When is the leaderboard coming?
Leaderboard, yeah. So we're looking at other ways we can engage the community. Besides just like releasing content, releasing mechanics, a leaderboard's a really easy way for us to do that. We haven't added it to the sprints yet, but that's something we can probably fit in pretty soon. Me and Tyler will talk about that. We've been talking about a bunch of different ways that we can like create engagement in the meantime, besides just releasing features. But I'm telling you guys, the stuff that we're about to release, I think will be like probably a way bigger win than that leaderboard. Even though that is a cool thing to do. Like we're releasing like pretty needle moving features over the next 2 sprints. One of them being like 2 new mechanics, basically like a whole new quest system, and then like a whole new cooking system. So yeah, get excited for that kind of stuff. And then yeah, you can expect other features like that like are focused around retaining and creating engagement quite soon as well too. Not on the roadmap right now, but we've only had the roadmap mapped out for a little bit. So we'll talk about that, see if that's something we can fit in sometime soon, and we'll be pretty transparent about when that feature would be coming.
Okay. Is there any way to change the name in game when using your integrated NFT instead of having it like number 748?
Yeah, I think what we need to do, this will not be that long. Potentially we can have just game time sprint planning right here. Potentially we can have Alec do ENS integration this sprint. I think that would be pretty easy. And that's an interesting way to do that.
And Tyler and I were talking about like when people enter, this is all part of the bigger onboarding process we were talking about of like choosing your avatar, choosing your NFT that you want to use and all of that. So I think a lot of that is being visited like right now. Okay, so someone's asking, will the Golden Rake be released to OGs only, or what's the promised OG drop? So the Golden Rake was actually given to the top 100 people, players at the time of mint back in January. So there are only 101 because we did do one giveaway out there, and there will only ever be 101. So in the future, we will make it an NFT so that owners can potentially sell it if they want to. For the OG drop,
yeah, I can speak on that one.
Yeah.
So the thing that's been holding me back from like fully committing to the OG drop, it's coming, I promise you guys, is just deciding what chain that we're going to be on. We're actually talking to a couple different chains right now, or I'm personally talking to a couple different chains right now around like what developer support that we can get, like what studio support that we can get. We were going to be dropping the OG airdrop on Polygon originally, because that's like the chain that we were thinking about moving towards. And actually, we probably are now. That is like what I'm leaning to most. But then we were also starting to shop around and talk to other chains too that were potentially like better suited for what we're building, better suited for all of that. So I was really hesitant to drop something on Polygon before we like really committed to a chain. Conversations are happening with Polygon right now. They actually seem very promising. They have like an entire studio support system. They just released some really interesting tech around ZK rollups, or like they're coming up with that. So I have a lot more confidence in like what they're building in the future, and I think that probably is the right L2 solution for us. If you guys have any opinions on that, also please let me know. These are decisions that we're making like quite soon and want to commit to as soon as possible. That's kind of like what's been holding up the OG airdrop, besides developer capacity. So coming up soon.
Okay, let's bring Owen back up. I think he has another question. Hey, Owen, what's up?
NFTs. Why can people not screenshot them and say they're theirs?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. I mean, yeah, you can even see on Twitter, there's ways to prove if you own it or not. You don't want to be thought of as a poser or somebody who's like faking stuff. NFTs in some sense are a lot about like rep, and they're a lot about like your like personal image and brand. So if you get caught faking that you own one and people find out, that's going to make you look pretty bad, and it's kind of like going against the point of why you would even be using it in the first place. So things like Twitter, where they verify that you actually own that NFT, they have that little hexagon so that you actually really, really know if they own that NFT. Is like a way to go around that too. It's a lot less easy to fake that to other people. In our game, you actually have to connect your wallet, and that's how you use your NFT too. So it's like kind of cryptographically secure, where we actually know if you own that NFT or not. And if you're walking around as it in the game, that really is your NFT. So you can't just screenshot that. You can't log into somebody else's MetaMask. You got to really have to own that NFT. So there is a way to prove it. That's kind of the point of it.
Okay, thank you for your feedback. Have
Great
a good
question.
Thanks for coming up. Okay, then we've got NFT Rex.
Hey guys. Just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations on the success so far. It seems like you guys are doing a really good job with everything, and the product seems, great so far. And I love how transparent you are about it and your thought process behind it, and as well as your professionalism in answering questions that are difficult and tough to navigate. I'm sure these questions are uh, fairly easy to answer, compared to some of the ones you might have answered, in your funding stages and everything like that. So, first off, there. So I've got one land. I've just been, banging around there for about a week now or so, maybe a little bit less. But my question pertains to the store and maybe some of the improvements you're making to that store, and if there's going to be some like descriptions around what it is you're buying, turnaround time or yield, and all of that kind of, you know, it, up front and center to help with your decision making when you're making your purchases.
Exactly. Yeah, that's Tyler's huge push. Tyler, do you want to speak on that?
Yes. Okay, so I'm new to this project. Like I kind of came in here and there were some things that I identified as quick wins. And yeah, one of those big ones was the store. In terms of building a game that has economics so built into it, we need to have a store UX that allows for proper descriptions and allows us to build within. So as I was looking for inspiration on a store UX, I could not stop thinking about big e-commerce companies that exist. So instead of looking at a store as would presently exist in other MMO games that you would see, where it's not the user experience that you're accustomed to in buying, the one that has been mapped out now, and the one that we're going to try to get into the game into this sprint takes a lot of inspiration from an Amazon, how Shopify stores are built, where there are categories of sections, and we're going to drop utility and categorize. So we basically need to build like an inventory management system for digital assets, which is super cool. And that has become such a priority because we see you all asking for utility. And it's something that we know maybe we haven't moved as fast as we need to on. So laying the groundwork to have a store that can handle and we can easily upload new products. So you might see us do some things in the short term where as we build out the utility, we still might let you see it in the store, but it might be locked for the time being. So we're going to be moving so fast and you're going to be able to see it. So that, in terms of that, was there any other specific questions you had about the store UX or any ideas
Yeah.
that you'd want to see in there?
No, I mean, I think first of all, I think that's great. I understand you got to kind of build out your table structure and architect exactly, on the back end what you're going to do in order to present it on the front end in a clean way and scalable way. So I understand all that. I appreciate that. My other quick question is in regards to, and this is probably in the Discord somewhere, in regards to like your soil plots. So the land has 4, and if you want to move those, you need to buy the rake, right, for 1,000 coins or whatever, right?
Yeah, right now a shovel.
A shovel. Okay. So the shovel, you buy the shovel. Oh, wait, you have the shovel, right?
No, you have to buy the shovel from the store right now.
So you buy the shovel from the store, and then there's like plots that you can buy in there for 5,000. So it's 1,000 to have the capacity in order to move it or the ability to move it, and then it'd be 5,000 for each additional plot after that, right? Okay, great. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of coins at first, but a lot of people have been doing it in less than a week to get all the coins to max out their farm. So obviously, we want to be here as a game for more than a week in people's lives. So figuring out ways to make the game more engaging beyond just getting 25 plots of land and soil is kind of the goal here. So we're looking at other ways where we can add new content, and other ways we can add like reasons to continue to do this, and like different utility from items as well.
Great, thanks. Is there a maximum number of plots that you can have on there? Is that what the 25 was that you mentioned? Or
Right now it's 25. This is
okay,
like some of the stuff that we're working on right now in terms of game design of like figuring out, okay, what's the actual like limit supposed to be? How can we create like a system that enables us to like maybe increase that without like overinflating certain resources, while still like bringing balance to this mechanic and this mechanic. Like right now we only have faucets. We only have like mechanics that are inputting items into the game really. There's not many features that like take items out or move them around into other areas. So before we can start building out things like that, we need to think about different like sinks that we can put into the game, that like get you using these resources for other reasons. So that's kind of like this whole web that we're working on right now of figuring that out, coming up with a system around that, and then like also the like tech behind the store to make that work too.
yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of economics behind all of that, and especially if you want to expand and have like other types of lands in the future or whatever it is, how that's all going to work. I mean, it can get pretty complex pretty quick. So,
Super
you
fun
guys are doing
stuff
it
though.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's also why I want to caution you guys. If you see other projects that are like, oh, we're gonna do this right away, we're just gonna hire like 30 developers and just like put all this developer power into it. Nah, that's not how this works, truthfully. There's so much like careful consideration around game design, game balance, economics, and then all the tech to support that too. Like the back end tech behind all of that's actually crazy, even beyond just like building out game mechanics. And that's kind of like what this team is really specializing in and what we're focusing on harder than anything else. So if you want to be a part of a successful project, I really encourage you to like look at projects that are thinking about that. And I'll be honest, there's not that many. So
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Thanks. So a few of you have been asking in the chat about the template contest that we ran. And first of all, just mind-blowing the kind of things you guys came up with. It was amazing, and props to you, really. Internally, I can't speak to it too much, but we've had some conversations about like how we want to move forward, and it's kind of affecting the release of that template
yeah, I
contest.
mean,
So
we
yeah, you want to speak? We can't speak too much to it yet because we haven't made any firm decisions on how we're
yeah.
moving forward.
So on that note, like we're gonna come up with a prize. It might be a
Oh,
bit different than what we
100%.
promised.
Yeah, no,
Um,
we will reward the people that like put in the effort and deserve it for sure. Okay. Yikes.
Hey, just something quick that came to my head. So when I go to the shop and I sell these items, I find myself clicking the button to increase quantity for just way too long. I'm wondering if the team is going to update that to perhaps put like a input quantity to sell instead of just keep clicking.
yeah, whole
Tyler.
story.
Let me go to my Figma file right now and look at the UX that I have. Did I do a plus button or did I allow?
No, an input button, like an
No, I'm
input
saying
field.
I think I have a plus button right now, but I'm just changing it. So
Okay, there you go.
That's Billy.
Update.
That is
Great.
I can't get more Billy in public than that. You literally just changed our Figma designs by asking that.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
No. That's it.
Okay, cool. Okay, let me just scan the Discord. One thing I noticed after the update is animations should not trigger if not enough energy. Maybe having an animation stating you don't have energy. I was clicking the plots believing I was planting seeds, but I wasn't. Okay, that's a bug. We will definitely get that fixed. Thank you for telling us. See,
Yeah,
this
we can get a dev on that today.
helps so much. Okay, I'm literally going to just quickly post that in our dev channel. Cool. Scrolling through. Can we get a door to exit and enter? Oh, for the general store.
Yeah, there should be. If not, we can add that really quickly. We can add that no code just in our world builder.
Awesome. And there are several people typing, so we can wait a minute here. Any other questions?
Yeah, let's take like 1 or 2 final questions. So get it out if you have it, and then
Okay. Tyler literally posted like a screenshot of the UX Figma.
yeah, on that note, we hiring a UI UX designer, please refer us if you know someone good, and if you know somebody who has like some pixel art or game design specialties. Also, can we move between lands without needing to log back in each time? Yeah, that's actually like half finished right now. That was something I was working on when I was developing. That's actually pretty close. So we should make that a priority. I think I can work with one of the devs to get that out this release cycle, because we are adding new places to like move into and move out of. The seamless world switching.
Tyler already add door to store to our Jira board and posted it in the general chat. Perfect. I love this visibility.
Sweet guys.
Okay.
Oh, one other side note. I'm at NFTLA this week. If any of you guys are here, let me know. We'd love to meet up with people. We can do something potentially. Maybe Pixels will get you drinks or something. We don't have an official event this week, but if you guys are at NFTLA, maybe either send me a DM or maybe we will like put a reaction out there in our general chat if any of you are there. So let us know, and we'll try to do something potentially.
Awesome. I'm jealous. I want to go there in the heat. Canada's so cold. Okay. All right. This has been great. Yeah, we will wrap it up here. Please continue to post questions in the general chat and we will respond to everything that we can. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.